My name's Kate, and I am going to be talking about my disease today. I'm 24 years old, to preface, and I got my disease when I was about 15 years old, so it's almost been 10 years living with this awful illness. I will not be sugarcoating things in this video because I want to be real and raw with you guys. I just want to be there for anybody who is going through this or similar thing, because I feel like a lot of people just assume that it's not that bad or we're overreacting, and that is not the case. And I'm here to advocate for people who are going through really bad health issues or whatnot. So without further ado, let me tell you about my Crohn's disease story. Like I said, it started when I was 14. One day I got really sick. Everyone was getting the flu at my high school, and I had it really bad to the point where my fever went up to like 104, 105. I was doing all of the things, vomiting, going to the bathroom. It's not pretty. My fever was through the roof. I couldn't stay awake. I was very dehydrated. Couldn't keep anything down as far as food. I think that sickness lasted me about 10 days, but ever since that day, I felt this severe stomach pain every single time I ate. I would be running to the bathroom every single time I eat, like the minute I start eating. That's when I knew something was majorly wrong. Also, I was losing weight like crazy, and I was only 15 years old, went down to like 80 some pounds. I just went to my mom the one day, I'm like, there's something horribly wrong. I am in excruciating amounts of pain. I can't eat anything without like running to the bathroom and being extremely sick and feeling like horrible stabbing pain. So with 9 months-ish of testing, we finally found out that it is Crohn's disease, and they told me that's like the worst one, that they were testing for all of the irritable bowel diseases, which, you know, diverticulitis, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, and they told me if you have Crohn's, that is the most severe out of all of the like other things it could be. So we were praying it wasn't Crohn's, but of course it was. They always say like, oh, it's genetic. No one in my family has it except for me. And there were links between my acne medication that I was put on when I was about 13. I had really bad forehead acne, and funny enough, my forehead's super clear. The only place I break out is like here. But yes, this medication was pulled off of the market. It wasn't Accutane. Accutane is a completely different drug. Whatever medication I was on, I don't remember what it was called at this point. It was a pill, and it got pulled off of the market for causing severe IBD, which is what my disease is. But we really do think that my Crohn's disease came from that medication. So I guess be careful with medications. When I first got the disease, we tried to put me on a medication called Lialda, and it was just a pill, and it literally did nothing for me. And then we moved on to Pentasa, which I had really bad effects to. I think all of my joints like locked up, and I literally fell in the shower like that old lady that's like, I've fallen and I can't get up. Yeah, that was literally me when I was like 15 years old. He had to pull me off of that, and then I went on a drug called Amuran, and that made me break out in a horrible, painful rash. Compare it to shingles, but it wasn't shingles. It was a rash that only Crohn's disease patients get that's similar to shingles. Pulled me off of that, and then they were like, okay, we're gonna put you on steroids. I just remember being in junior year of high school on steroids. My face blew out to here. My whole body gained weight. I looked horrible. I just looked like someone pumped me up with air. And it's so uncomfortable. If you've ever been on steroids for like a health concern or whatever, your face literally blows up like a blowfish, and it hurts. Like, it physically hurts. Your body physically hurts. I went to my first prom blown up like a freaking pufferfish, and I was not happy about it at all. Then time moved on, and very shortly after the steroids, I developed an abscess and fistula all the way up my behind. I don't want to get too graphic because it is not fun, very gross to talk about. Yes, I had 3 surgeries to remove the infection. First 2 surgeries were the most horrific pain I've ever been in my life. I was put on a lot of opioids, of course. Though that series of surgeries actually happened my first like month into senior year of high school. And so it was really depressing because I missed like the homecoming dance, I missed the homecoming football game. I literally came to school the first day on Halloween. So it was definitely an experience, and I had to go to school on Percocet, which was a little crazy. Thankfully, that chapter closed. I got on to a biologic, which at the time was Remicade, and I was also put on a chemotherapy called methotrexate, which was an injection in my arm. It did make my hair fall out, but not like bad. It was just like in like this area, like toward the front of my head, and my hair got like really thin and damaged from it. And I also felt extremely nauseous and sick, and I would get it was not pleasant at all. The infusion that I was on, the Remicade, it was every 8 weeks, I believe it started out. I'd have to go to the hospital and get the IV, and it was about 4 hours long to get the medication. And thankfully, that medication combo actually worked wonders for me for a while, despite, you know, the nausea and the bad effects of the chemotherapy. A while after, I mean, I was doing pretty good on that combo for a while. It was never like perfect, but it was really good compared to where I'm at now, or where I was at from the past couple years. So there's that part. And I think having such a terrible disease come upon you in high school is really hard, because I didn't know how to handle it. I had a lot of friends, I played sports, I was top of like my class, I was in the top 10% of my class, and I took AP classes, honors classes, and I was a really busy girl. I had a job. Long story short, I was very busy in that time of my life, and I had to kind of like quit all of the sports I played, which were soccer, basketball, and field hockey. I had to quit it all because my health was terrible, and I had less time for friends, work, school. Like, I don't know, it just became a lot harder. My energy levels were crashing. Like, it just wasn't easy, but it was easier than when I got to college. Basically, when I was in nursing school, the one day I was getting my infusion of Remicade, and over a period of time, the doctors were saying that I need to be on more Remicade, so they ended up doubling the amount I was on, because my blood work was showing that my inflammation is still really high and they needed to control it. So they ended up doubling the dose, and the frequency was a lot closer. Like, it was like every 4 weeks instead of every 8 weeks. At one point while I was in nursing school, I came home for my infusion, and at the time I was getting at-home infusions because my insurance didn't cover the hospital anymore. So my at-home nurse, you know, gave me my infusion. I was on it for 3 years. It was working great for me. And then all of a sudden my throat closes, and I literally was like banging on the couch. I couldn't speak. I turned completely like purple and red, and like she rushed over, called the ambulance. They took me to the hospital, and yeah, my throat, I almost died. My throat closed, and thank God they got there in time and we were okay. The craziest part was that the doctor at the ER said that I was having an anxiety attack, and that's why, and there was nothing wrong. So they gave me the infusion again about 2 weeks later, and my throat closed again, and they were like, oh, our bad. Actually, you built antibodies to this medication. You can't be on it anymore. You're allergic. I almost died twice, and the second time was the doctor's fault, which we're pretty upset about that. Thanks for telling me it was my anxiety. Like, thank you. After that whole debacle, I had to switch medications, because once you get off of a biologic, the disease like goes rampant. So it went so rampant that I actually developed rheumatoid arthritis. So I dealt with rheumatoid arthritis while being in nursing school and working at a job in the hospital, 12-hour shifts on and off, like nights and days, and it was impossible. I actually ended up in the hospital for like a good week, or just trying to figure out what's going on, and I was in so much excruciating pain, even just moving the slightest bit. And the arthritis went throughout my body in different places all the time. Like, one day it was my shoulder, and then the next day it was my legs and my ankles, and like then it was always in my hands and my fingers. But it got so bad, you could literally see the swelling. I was on steroids then too. I saw a rheumatologist. She put me on a bunch of steroids. My face ended up coming out. I got abscesses and cystic acne all over my face from the steroids. I became really angry on the steroids because they do that to you. It's just an awful experience, and I ended up making the decision that I can't do nursing anymore. My grades were really good. I loved everyone that I was in school with. I was doing really well. I was 2 years in, and it was almost time for me to like be in the actual clinical setting, like full time, and I couldn't do it. I physically couldn't do it. I had a long talk with my family, my doctor. We all pretty much came to the decision that it might be best to change my major and just figure out what the new path is. Basically, after that, I got on Humira and I moved to a different school. I went for teaching because I felt like that was more doable. From my experience with Humira, Humira never worked. It helped the arthritis a little bit, but the Crohn's was still really, really bad. I felt like I was gonna throw up all the time, and I did a lot. And I was also really big for because the steroids, I was on steroids like the whole time. And then they also doubled the Humira at one point, and we just decided this isn't working. This Humira, not working. Doctor and I were talking, and we ended up trying to find a different route. So at that point, I was the sickest I've ever been in my entire life. This was 2021. I'm kind of skipping forward, like I'm not telling you every single detail. Quite frankly, I can't remember every little detail. I'm trying to focus on the now. But basically, in 2021, I got off of the Humira, and if I didn't say this before, when you go from one biologic medication to another, you have to give it like 6 weeks at least, and then insurance usually takes like 2 months to approve it, because these medications are like $10,000 a dose out of pocket, and I can't afford that. Like, I'm sorry, but I will not do that. I'm gonna wait for the insurance. After getting off of Humira, I got the sickest I ever was in my entire life. I lost about 40 pounds in 1 month, and I was in excruciating, horrible pain. I thought I was going to die. I was in so much pain. I was unable to go to school, unable to work. All I could do was lay in bed all day and just like suffer. Like, that's where I was at. No pain meds were helping me. At that point, he finally got me on Stelara, and slowly I started to improve. Thank God. The Stelara actually did wonders for me. It's an injection in the leg. I actually am on double the dose now, of course. Every single year, when you're a Crohn's patient, at least with my experience, I have to get colonoscopies every year. That being said, my recent colonoscopy in April showed that I had 2 strictures in my intestines, which are the narrowing of the intestines. So if your intestines like this normally, it's literally like this, and things can't pass through, and it's been to a point of like agony. I can't go to the bathroom. What could happen is a blockage, and if I have a blockage, that could send me into sepsis, and I could die within hours. And so that's why I made this video, because I'm about to go into surgery, and this was the last resort. I've always been terrified of it coming down to this, but I do need a resection, and they're taking out the part of my terminal ileum, because the Crohn's is really bad in the terminal ileum. There's ulceration, internal bleeding, obviously inflammation, and there's 2 strictures. So they're cutting out that segment into the beginning of the colon, and they're reattaching that, and they're taking my appendix out as well. This surgery is literally in a week, and I'm really nervous, but I'm really hoping that this will change things for me, because I really feel like I've just been suffering for the last 10 years of my life. I've changed my major 3 times. I've had to put things off constantly. It's very unpleasant. I'm kind of like grateful for the fact that I'm about to get this surgery, because I really do think that it's going to change the narrative for me. Being 24 years old, almost 25 in December, I want to live my life to the fullest, and I wasn't able to do that for these past 10 years. Like, I've been trying my best, and there's a lot of things that you deal with being a chronically ill person. People that you work with don't believe you that you're sick, and they start to talk shit about you, like, oh, this person's always calling off, blah 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 blah. But it's like, if you knew the hell that I have been through, me waking up every day, I am nauseous. I have to eat immediately or I will throw up. I am usually in horrific pain when I first wake up in the morning, horrible stomach pain, and then I also go to bed, like toward the end of the night, like right after dinner is when the stomach pain comes on really hard, and it's really, really bad, and it's hard to deal with, I won't lie. You have to find what works for you, and I found what works for me, and one of those things is the paleo diet. And for a while before I knew I needed surgery, I was doing the paleo diet, and I was feeling so much better. I wouldn't say I was feeling great, but I was feeling a lot better, and I thought that that was like turning a new leaf with that diet. But I guess from what the doctor says, like, I'm too far gone, I need this part removed, and hopefully after this surgery, like, I can stick to a very specific diet. And I forgot to mention earlier that when I first got diagnosed with the disease, my mom put me on a diet called the specific carbohydrate diet, which is meant for people with Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis and all of this stuff. And it did work for me, but it was extremely strict, and I was only 15 years old. It was really hard, and I didn't stick to it. So that's when the shit hit the fan. But I guess you live and you learn. I'm a strong believer that God and the universe is always trying to teach us lessons. Things happen for a reason, and I know some people don't really believe in that or don't like that whole ideal, but I do, and I kind of live by that, and it really helps me move forward. And I know that I'm battling something really heavy and really hard to deal with, and I'm, going through all of the people who are judging me, thinking that, oh, since I look good on Instagram, like I put on eyelashes, extensions, and a lot of makeup today, and I self-tanned. Like, of course it's gonna make me look a lot better. If I came on camera completely pale, no makeup, whatever, of course I'm not gonna look as good. But do I wanna show up as someone who is deathly ill? No, I don't wanna be known as that. And that's why I'm making this video, because I feel like my whole life I've been judged superficially, like by the cover of the book. And it's so annoying because it's like I'm just trying my best to make it day by day without being in excruciating pain. And there's been plenty of times where I've had to cancel plans on friends because I was sick. And I do, thank God, have amazing friends in my life and amazing family members that have my back. And I am so grateful for them. And obviously my fiance Ryan is like my biggest supporter. I am so grateful for those people in my life. If you are dealing with something similar to me, if you are dealing with a health problem or anything related to this at all, and people aren't like understanding you and they're judging you for it or whatever, they're ignorant. They don't know what you're going through, so they're ignorant to it. And I'm not saying that as like a mean term, like, oh, you're ignorant. No, it's the fact that they truly are. They don't know what you're going through. And if you're going through something like a health problem, like specific like this, no one's gonna understand except for someone who's going through the same thing. This disease is embarrassing. I mean, I've dealt with ulcers all in my mouth, cystic acne, which wasn't actually cystic acne. I guess it was abscesses all over my face. I still get them today. I gain weight randomly, I lose weight randomly, and a lot of it has to do with the medications, or in this case right now, I have stricturing, which makes you gain weight because you can't let go of everything in your body. I don't know if I hit everything I wanted to say, but basically stay tuned because I am vlogging my experience with the resection, and I'm really nervous about it. It's something I have to do, and I definitely feel like this is my next chapter and this is what was meant for me, and I do think that this is turning a new leaf. And I really hope that if you are dealing with something like I am, that you remain strong. I really hope that this helped you in some way or another. I know that I don't have a lot of subscribers yet or whatnot, but I do hope that maybe one person watching this one day, it helps them, and then my mission is complete. I have struggled with this for the past 10 years of my life, emotionally, mentally, physically, and it is not fun at all. And I feel like a lot of people are going through things like this, but silently, because they're too afraid of what people will think about them. And I've kind of been past that point. I don't care anymore. You can think what you want. I'm the one who's gonna have to go into that surgery and get my intestine removed and be laid up for months and be in pain. And I'm the one who's gonna have to eat really strict and have to stick to that, or else I'm gonna have to get another resection. I hope this helped. I hope that even if you're just watching this as someone who follows me, I hope that this helped you understand more about me, because this disease is like a lot of my life. It's a huge part of it, and I don't want it to be, obviously. I really see myself as a completely different person in the next couple years, and I hope I'm right. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment down below, ask me anything. You can always feel free to DM me on Instagram as well if there's anything specific that you don't want to comment in the comment section. So always feel free to do that. And if I don't see it, slide up on my stories or comment on my posts, let me know that you DM me, because sometimes I can't get to all of them. But please feel free to comment down below, ask any questions. I'm here to explain anything. And yeah, I guess that's it for now, but I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.